Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very first podcast from Reno Quotes. I am Frédérique Parenteau, your co-host, the marketing director at Reno Quotes, and I am here with my co-host Ronaldo from Admisys, who is here to interview our very special guest, Kaveh Bahrami from Consqualif. He is a general contractor, and I'll let Ronaldo introduce himself.
Yes, so very happy to be here for our very first podcast. Also happy to do that very first podcast with Kaveh because we did work together on a different project, but we will get to that subject later on in the podcast. Obviously, happy to do this with Frédérique. We'll see, how this one is going to go as our very, very first podcast. This podcast today is really focalizing on interior renovations because Reno Quotes, just like Admisys, we deal with construction contractors, and it's a sphere where people take for granted. They know that we have builders and we have contractors, but there's a lot of intricacies within that profession that we would like to dive into, and I think that interior renovations will be a good start for us to do this. So thank you for joining us, Kaveh.
Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. No problem at all. So let's jump right into it. Frédérique did say that you are a general contractor, right?
Yes.
That covers so many things. So tell us a little bit about what you do in general.
We do, as a general contractor, we can do like a vast project, vast different varieties of projects, but we are focused on interior designing, remodeling, and we do French drain, we do extension. These are the jobs that we usually do.
Okay. And as a general contractor, do you take every project as the same, or do you really make the difference between interior renovations, exterior renovations, designing? How do you really separate those projects?
They are honestly very different from each other. For the designing part, we hire a designer, a professional designer. After we sign a contract with a client, the designer goes to their place to see what they need, what they want to do, and then we do she gives a plan, a blueprint, and then we do the job, we execute the job. That's for the remodeling and the interior part of the, renovation part. For the exterior, we cannot do much things because most of the cases we have to deal with municipality. So they're gonna tell us what kind of, bricks we have to use for the facade of the building, or, we have some restrictions for it.
Okay, yeah.
And also the season. We cannot do exterior jobs during winter.
So no French drains in December, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And when you say you can't do much when it comes to exterior, so you're talking about the freedom that you would have, right, in terms of choices or decisions that you can make
exactly
on behalf of the client.
Exactly.
Okay. And is that something that you value more, that you like, the fact that interior renovations allows you to maybe tap into that creative side?
That's one of the main reasons that we do interior remodeling, interior designs, because to me it's like an art. So you're gonna see, what's going on and what happened, and you're gonna see the excitement in the eyes of the clients. Because, for example, if you do a French drain, the pipes are buried under the ground. So they just come and say, okay, it's fine. Yeah,
and there's one way to do it. It's not very creative,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to finishing, when it comes to designing, remodeling, you're gonna see the excitement in their eyes when they are satisfied.
Yeah.
And that gives you a very, very good feeling.
Yeah, so the recognition is a lot higher from your clients, definitely.
Exactly,
yeah. No one likes to spend so much money and not see it, right?
Exactly.
And, I like what you just said. No one likes to spend money and not see it, because that taps into what I was going to ask, which is is it more difficult for you to convince a client that they need to pay X amount of dollars when there's a difference between necessity and basically what they would want? Or
Well, it's very difficult. Yes, it is difficult, but when you explain it to them, and it is much easier when you already have a contract with them, or if you work with them before, because they have some sort of trust. So in that case, it would be easier. But generally, it's very difficult, especially for those things that they don't see.
Yeah.
There are some parts that it's very technical. They don't have that knowledge. So in that case, we have to give them some time for them to do some research. We have to teach them. We have to educate them. And sometimes we send some videos from YouTube to see, to show it to them, to say what's the consequence of the damage or the potential problem that they have.
That's a tough thing, trying to sell something that you have to absolutely do. You have to do it. And there's so many technicalities related to it. Like, we give the French drain as an example because no one really knows except for the specialists how that works, right?
Exactly.
And what you need to put and make sure you don't damage anything else on your house. And trusting a contractor without having dealt with them, that's a tough thing. Like, you have to convince them that you're the right person for the job.
Exactly.
And you mentioned that you have to allow them time. So does that mean that you lose more clients during that period of time?
Well, we don't lose clients. The thing is during winter, because there's snow and then the snow freeze, basically the French drain doesn't need to function because it's frozen. Okay, but when it's melted, the weather also becomes better. So in that case, we do after flood. For those cases, we have to do after flood. We have few dehumidifiers. We have blowers. If they have French drain problems, for sure they will be having problems with their foundation too. So in that case,
seasonality is another advantage to you.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
So that's the thing we have to done. After that, when we remove the wall, we're gonna see what's there behind it, if they have a crack on their foundation or if the French drain problem. So then we repair it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned another factor that's kind of an issue as well, is that oftentimes trying to estimate for a job and not knowing what you're going to find and the other additional costs that you can put. How do you manage that with your customer base?
Again, it's very difficult for the clients for the extras. Nobody, either contractors nor the clients, happy with the extras and surprises, because it's something that we both don't know. But many clients, when you show them, when you ask them, okay, to come and see, this is a problem, this is a right way to do it, this is a good practice, then they realize and they accept it.
Okay. So you tell them when you find the issues, or do you set expectations of potential?
Before we start, always, because we know 90%, the surprises. There is not much surprises for us.
Yeah.
So 90% we can guess what's happening and all that. We spend a lot of time just to explain those points to the clients, to make sure that they understand, they know the potential problem. Because when we open the job and they see, for example, a big crack on their foundation wall, they're gonna panic. So before we start, we're gonna tell them that, okay, this might be the problem, and we're gonna do it. Don't worry. We show them a lot of photos before we sign the contract, just to make sure that they know we have done it before, we have experience on it. So it's a pain reliever for them sometimes.
Yeah. That's good. It's good that you have visual content. People respond well to visual content and experience. That's awesome. We got ahead of ourselves, Ronaldo, because our plan was to look at his professional background
it's
before.
It's true. I'm sorry. I think that's going to be that's probably my fault, because, as I know Kaveh a little bit.
You got too excited. You got right into it. Awesome.
Exactly. But it's true, Kaveh. So first question that I had here is basically what inspired you to specialize in interior renovations. But is that your specialty, or do you actually choose one side of your general contractor capabilities, or do you just treat every aspect the same way? Do you have a favorite?
Well, I look at the interior renovation as an art, like I said.
You said,
so I like to do things that I can see the result of it. At the end, I want to see the excitement in the eyes of their clients. The clients. So that's why I prefer to do like these type of jobs. I know it's very difficult to work with the clients. So what I do is like I'm trying to work with the builders, because builders usually they don't want to to do the finishing part, because it's like it takes
too
time
many
for
details.
them, and the client's gonna ask them, okay, why it is like this, it should be in the other way to do it. Like when it comes to finishing, some people are very picky.
Yeah.
So that's why I try to work with them. The advantage is like they know the technical, so I don't need to explain many things to them. Like that, they save a lot of energy and time. On the other hand, like the client is happy,
and then everybody's happy at that point. And it does take a particular like attention to details to do things like finishing and to make sure that the client is satisfied and things like that. So how exactly did you start your career in this field? Like what made you say, you know what, this is what I want to do from this point on?
Well, that's a very good question. The thing is like when I was 15, I went to India.
Okay.
I went to India to study, and I was alone. So the friends that I had there, they were builders.
Okay.
Their father were builders. So we used to go to the building to see, to work, to play there. So there I became like familiar with buildings, although my major of studying was something else.
What was it?
It's biochemistry. I have a PhD in biochemistry.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I
not
came
a creative field either.
No, that's why. So when I came here, since I knew a little bit about like buildings, so I said to myself, okay, let's try, working in buildings and construction to see how it is. And then I realized, oh, it's something that I really like, interior renovations and all that. It's very creative. You need to pay a lot of attention to details.
Is it?
And it's good for me. It's better than working in a medical laboratory, being alone, just pouring some solution to the other,
more
exercise,
to just make more social.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to to know their ideas. It's to me like it was an advantage. So it went well. It went well again, and it went well. So
you continue. When it goes well, you continue in that line.
Exactly.
And from your background, your academic background, that's where you get your detail orientation, right?
I think so.
Scientific background.
I think so. Because in lab we were supposed to like measure everything by microliter, for example. So as well as like to detail. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very interesting.
When you well, I won't say build, but when you do those projects, right? I know a lot of contractors, once they're done a project, it's not just something that they add to their portfolio. It becomes like, oh, it's kind of like their babies, if I could say.
Yeah,
right?
You're proud of what you're making.
Exactly.
Yeah, you feel proud, yeah.
And is there one that you've done and you're like, it's like your go-to, or it's like it's you're so proud of that specific job or accomplishment that you...
Yes, I did a job. It was 40 kitchen and 40 bathrooms.
40 kitchens and 40
bathrooms, yeah.
Okay.
I did that, and the owner of the building, he became a close friend after that project. So I meet the owner like every week. We have some dinner together. So that's something like I really liked. I learned a lot. And
I imagine, because you learn every time you make something.
Exactly.
So like you got better as you went.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
If you went from the bottom to the top, you're better up living on the top floor, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. You get the best bathroom, best kitchen.
Well, in the building like that, you have to do the job from top to down.
Oh, okay. So you got to live in the basement.
Exactly, because always water goes down. So you have to do the top bathroom first.
Makes sense. So what was the thing, like, when doing that project, what was the thing that made it the greatest project? The quantity, the speed, the quality, the learnings?
Everything together. I remember when I wanted to do my first estimation, I went to the office that I used to work as an employee. They told me I was there from 8 o'clock in the morning to estimate just a bathroom, one single bathroom. It was a residential. It was so easy. Like nowadays, I think many people even they don't see it and estimate to see like how many plywood they need, how many like ceramics they need. But for me, it was like one of the first. So it took me from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night.
Oh my!
And like everybody went home that day, and I was alone. And the owner of the companies, he saw me from the camera. And he called me and he said, Kaveh, why are you not going home? What's wrong? What are you doing in the office alone? Like it's 8 o'clock. You don't have like family, friends. What are you doing here? And I told him like I'm doing estimations for this guy. And he said, how much is the estimation so far? I told him, yeah, it's not yet over, but it's around $50,000. And he said, $50,000 for like 5 feet, like by 7 feet, bathroom. It's not a big bathroom. Even if you make it out of gold, it won't be $50,000. So I started from there. And when it comes to that project, it was like you're at the top of a mountain, and then you just when you are at the peak of a mountain, and just you turn and see like the long way that you came. So
the realization.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So it was that's something affected. I liked, and the other thing was, of course, I learned a lot. Still, learning never stops for me. Still, I'm learning. That's the other, thing that I really liked about it. And of course, the owner. The owner was so nice.
Well, yeah, you made a friend out of a project.
Exactly.
So definitely.
So that's another valuable thing that it worth to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So now with those questions, and you actually even answered other questions that I probably would have had for you when it comes to your professional background. So, now we understand better, like your journey, what kind of gotten you into the whole interior renovation aspects of things, right? Your attention to detail and how far you've come from that $50,000 estimation for the bathroom.
That was all his time for like the extra measurements and details that he was putting in there.
Exactly.
And you went from there to like, being able to quote like 40 bathrooms and 40 kitchens, you said. So that's definitely amazing. So what are the key steps, would you say, to a successful interior renovation? Now that you've done so many, like what are the first things that a contractor should consider to make sure that the renovation is properly done?
Planning, attention to detail, and communication to the owner. I think those are like the keys to have a successful project. Before you start the job, I always plan, I always write down what are the materials that I have to buy for that project, the costs, how much I have to pay, how long that project takes time and how much I have to pay to the subcontractors. I find the subcontractors before I start the job. And then I buy the material, I put them in a warehouse. And then when the time comes, I don't want to during COVID that happened to me.
To wait for the material deliveries.
Exactly. So that's the factor. The other thing is paying attention to detail is very important. Very, very important. Reading the blueprints many times just to make sure if the blueprint itself it's fine, it doesn't have any problem. And then during execution, you have to go to the job site to do the measurements to make sure like the plan that you have is matched with the job site. That is another thing that you have to consider.
So general project management, right? So you have the planning, and then
communication with the owner.
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing that I noted actually is that we actually don't often hear it, but it's really the listening and understanding the needs of the customer is one thing that we often forget before planning.
Exactly.
Because understanding what they need, then you plan. Because then if you plan before and understand something differently,
then it's not
then you have
what
to
they
go back
wanted.
to the
Exactly.
planning.
But like I said earlier, we have a designer. So
Is it?
the designer who is then a specialist to go there to see like what are their needs, how many children they have, how old are their children.
So designer slash psychologist, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So, you have to be like a contractor, you have to be a doctor, psychologist, you have to be like everywhere in this field.
That's why you say
Exactly.
general contractor, right?
General is wider than we thought.
Exactly.
But you see, something in what was just discussed kind of is the reason why maybe that profession on my end kind of scares me. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. If I look at the creation of it, it sounds amazing, right? You have an idea, you have a designer that helps you put that idea together, and then you do it, and then the end result is great. What I'm saying kind of scares me is, and you let me know how you handle that, we're at a time where it's very DIY. Everybody like watches a video and think that they're themselves are the designers. So when you communicate with your client and your client says, this is how I want it, and you know very well that what they want, it doesn't make sense, or it's not going to look good, or they shouldn't do it like that. How do you handle that conversation of like, I understand that it's in your head, it looks good, but I'm telling you that it's not up to code and it's not going to look good. How do you handle those conversations?
Well, I try to write it for them. I tested it, and when you write it to them, it seems it's more effective because they read it and then they think about it.
And you write it, you communicate through email?
Email, yeah.
Okay.
So first I will go there, I tell them, or I call them, I tell them, hey, look, this is what you're going to do. I can do it for you if you want. It's going to cost you that much, but it is not up to code. I want to let you know right now if you want to do it like it's like this, so I don't recommend it. I'll tell them, exactly what it is, and I will write for them. That, that's writing is going to save you from like a low part of the issue.
A lot of he
exactly.
says, she says nightmares. Yes.
Exactly. And also the clients take it serious. When it comes, they're going to see like you're writing for them, they take it serious, and then they double check it. They ask their neighbors, their friends.
Yeah, and you probably put in numbers of codes and
Exactly.
references and very detailed information, which makes it like, oh, okay, he wasn't just like saying anything, a lot of BS when he came to my house.
Exactly. Because I know that not everybody would want, because obviously if you use a designer, there's a fee for the designer, right?
Exactly.
So sometimes the clients will be like, I kind of know what I want. We don't necessarily need a designer. And when it's not up to code, you definitely have to let them know, which you do via email. But when it's just like, it's not necessarily the nicest finishing. Like when they choose like certain color combinations or, a certain type of flooring in a certain room while their cabinetry is a certain other material. Like when it's really just visually not appealing, like do you just, hey, whatever you want and go ahead and do it, or even then you try to?
No, again, then I try to tell them like, the custom part, it's up to them, but the rough part is up to me.
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure that whatever I'm going to build, is going to build for at least a long time. I know that, the clients, they don't do renovations every day. So
most clients don't.
Exactly. Yeah. So it should be something very solid. For the finishing part, I tell them the designer told them, this is my recommendation, but if you want to do it, we will do it for you.
Okay.
Yeah. And the designing part is free. We don't charge the clients for designing. Yeah. We pay from our packet because at the end, we get the reward of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
We give few services for free. We have an air negative machine for the people who they are above 60 and they have children minus 10. So that's the machine which absorbs dusts. So during the demolition, we give the service to the clients, so it collects dusts and they breathe healthier
So you
air.
offer that extra air purifier while you're doing the construction,
Exactly.
so it's not damaging to any of your clients.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's something we do. And designers also are free. So
And do you have designers on staff?
yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Very good. That helps.
I know it's cost a lot, but when you realize that you are not going to do the job twice, or the client gonna give you, there will be a reference to you, it's worth to pay, some amount of
Definitely.
dollars to have that.
Yeah. And we all know trends in decoration, they move very quickly. And you have them from multiple different sources. And now that we have access to the whole world, there are a million trends to follow, right? So how does your team and yourself keep up with those trends?
Well, we do a lot of research. We always recommend things that they are not very new, because we don't know some materials. We don't know how are their quality, how are their effect. Then we use them. What will happen if we use them and the product is not good?
Yeah.
So we
Tried and trusted, right?
Exactly. So we try to use the products which it tested before. That's one thing we do. The second thing, for the trends things and all that, we always refer magazines. We do a lot of research about it. We try to learn it. Sometimes we go to workshops to to understand what it is, how we have to apply it correctly, what's a good practice to apply that product, and then we do that.
Very good. Lots of research, because
A lot of research.
it seems very simple. When you think about trends, we think colors, we think shapes, we think, in different aspects of the house, but it's a lot also on the structures, the framing, the windows, the doors. There's so many things and so many technicalities that we don't necessarily take into consideration. And I remember a time where, well, I think it's still pretty much in, but the big windows, and how complex is that in a seasonality in Quebec or in Canada in general? The temperature is so cold that the windows, those large windows, they don't function everywhere in the space. But what we see some countries where it's a little warmer, and for them it works. But for us, it's a little bit different. And to adapt that is a very difficult challenge.
It has its beauty and its challenges, yeah.
It's important to really set the record straight when you talk to a customer and tell them, okay, it's nice, but here are the impacts to your home.
Exactly.
And there must be differences between clients that basically ask for services for the home that they live in, and clients that basically ask for your services for a rental property that they own, right?
Exactly.
So when it comes to that second scenario, where it's people that say, okay, this is my building, I want to renovate 3, 4, 5 units in it. I want it to be nice, of course, because I want people to live in it. But at the same time, I would like to keep my cost down, right? Do you have certain go-to materials or go-to techniques that you have for those specific projects?
When I speak with these type of clients, I always tell them that we can do the renovation with a lower cost, but I don't want you to do the renovation every time.
Yeah.
So instead of do it right and do it once, so we can use some better quality of materials.
Yeah.
It's going to cost you a little bit higher, let's say $1,000 higher, for example. But at the end, you can use the area or the bathroom, kitchen for a longer time.
Yeah.
For sure, the tenants, they are not going to take care of the home the way that you are taking care of them. So it's better. It's look at it as an investment. Don't look at it as a cost.
Yeah.
So when they look at it from that point of view, they are willing to do it.
And when we speak about investment, do you take into consideration also environmental impact on that?
Exactly.
Do you look into sustainable materials and try to also implicate that into like a long-term investment?
There are some materials which they are eco-friendly. They are they are not cheaper than a regular material. They are either the same cost or even higher. But when you speak to the client and tell them that, okay, these are like eco-friendly material, we can use them like it's eco-friendly. Many of them, they accept it.
Yeah.
Many of them, it surprised me. Many of them, they accept.
Do you even talk about aspects like there are subventions in Canada in general that can come into play for the owner of the building? So maybe that's one of the things in which he invests in sustainable materials.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I explained them like how does it work, how they can sometimes, they get money from the government. So for those subventions and all that, I explained to them.
Plus, it's good for the environment, so we're all happy.
Yeah. Because when we were speaking about trends, like it's like eco-friendly or green and all of these terms that are great for the planet. Some people actually understand exactly how they impact the planet and why it's good. And other people actually see them as just the new trend, right? So some people will just see the eco-friendly thing as if it was its own brand, right? And they want to kind of like follow that trend. But when you also tell them, okay, so not necessarily get into the details of how it impacts, nature and everything, but hey, the government might give you this amount because that's the route you took. Or if you do it that way, your bill when it comes to your hydro or your power bill might go down because this is what it does, and the risks of fire diminished by when you explain those types of things, people usually understand and see it, like you said, as an investment more as
exactly. Reno Climat has a very good plan. They cover many things. The client always can call to Reno Climat. And they will send somebody to do the test. The test is free. Then they tell them that, okay, for example, you need to change your, for example, windows. Then the client can change the window. Again, they have to call to the, Reno Climat to come to do another test. And then they get their subventions. So like that, they save a lot of money. But they pay the difference between like the original material that they have to buy, the regular one, and also, the one which is a little bit more expensive.
So there's a difference in the analysis from Reno Climat if the materials are sustainable as well?
No. What they do is they come and do a test, and then they're going to tell you, for example, your, you need to change your, for example, insulation. Okay. Then the client will change the, the insulation, and then they get the money from Reno Climat.
Yeah, because they analyze the difference in energy that we need to consume,
They do it
right?
twice.
Okay.
They do the test twice. So once before the renovation and once after the renovation. So for sure after the renovation, since the problem is solved, they come and check it. If the result of the test that they're gonna take is good, they pay you. That's very good.
Very practical for people who have access to.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're located in Montreal, Quebec, and do you see any differences over the last few years? I mean, we've had a few weird years, right, in renovation. We all know this, especially like interior renovation, I feel. There was COVID in 2020. Everyone stayed home and they're like, oh, I don't like what my house looks like and I need to renovate. So contractors were busy. It went a little bit down after. Yeah. But did you see any difference like now that we're in 2023 and going into, 2024? Wow, I'm back in 2023 already. And going into 2025, do you see any like difference in the market on the demands?
Well, we had two major floods, Debbie and recent in August. It was 7th or 9th of August, right?
Yes.
9th of August, if I'm not mistaken.
It was for a day and a half.
So yeah, that affect a lot because we do after flood works.
Okay.
So we used to get a lot of call, especially right after the flood. So my team and I used to go to to different clients to do the cleaning because it's gonna cause mold
Yeah.
in their basement and something serious. So we have to act like within 24 hours after the flood. Like this is how they have to do it.
That was a really critical time. So you were
Exactly.
working like around the clock.
Exactly, because like mold are microorganisms, and microorganisms to grow they need food, which they have it because most of construction material are cellulose based, like wood, gyprox, and
Yeah.
all that, and they need humidity, which
The flood
flood gives them.
provided
Exactly,
enormous amounts.
and
Definitely.
the darkness, like
Mhm.
the environment should be dark. So it's a good chance for the microorganisms to grow, and it's very dangerous and like third type of water damages.
Yeah, and this happens to a lot more residences than we think, not just floods, but in general,
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
water incidents, plumbing exploding.
Just places where there's humidity, like the bathrooms themselves, like, people that, only take hot showers and don't open the fan.
Or kids.
That's yes, but we have a different type of category of waters. There is a category for category 1, which the water is clean, but if the water, which is category 3, comes from the sewage water, that's something very dangerous. That's where E. coli can grow. Like
Super interesting. It's not something I actually knew.
Yeah.
So if you guys need a
I didn't know that there
specialist,
was-
Exactly.
he knows his stuff. He studied this.
No, and I get a certificate from ISR.
Yeah.
So
Definitely someone who knows his mold, right?
Exactly. And I had a question in regards to the whole, flooding situation, right? We know that there were heavy rains and things like that. But since it affected so many citizens, I know that there was a lot of issues with people getting answers from, their insurance companies, right? So they knew that something needed to be done. They didn't expect something to be done or to be needed right away. But they weren't necessarily getting fast answers from their insurance companies. So if somebody calls you and says, look, I need something done right now because obviously my basement is flooded, or even if the water's not here anymore, I know that there's a risk of mold and et cetera, but I'm still waiting on my answers from my insurance companies. Like, how do you reply to those clients, or what do you do in those
insurance
scenarios?
companies by law, they are not allowed to ask their clients to choose their contractor. For example, I'm correct myself. So it's like the insurance cannot say don't do anything till wait till our contractors come and do the job for you. By law, they cannot do that. And moreover, they don't want to do it because if they if they don't act fast, they have to pay more for their renovation. So like mold removal is much more expensive, and it's a bigger job than just doing a regular after flood cleaning. So that's something has to be done like very quick. We have 24 hours to do the cleaning before after flood. So it's we have to act very fast. I remember during flood, I asked my friends, my family, everybody to help the citizens because there are some they're like innocent. It's like it
Victims.
happened exactly.
Yeah.
They're victims, and as a human, we have to help them.
Yeah.
So I ask many people to come at least take the other side of the carpet. It's heavy. It went like that.
And it's funny that you bring that up, Ronaldo, because that is something that I heard during the flood, is you don't need to have contacted your insurance company already. You can call your contractor, take pictures, do the stuff.
Exactly.
And then deal with the insurances later, because we had everyone calling the insurance at the same time. Obviously, those companies are busy as well and can't answer to everything. So just for next time, or hopefully not.
Hopefully not,
But
yeah.
if this is something that does happen, just know that you can just take pictures, document, and call your contractor right away.
Exactly. Documentation is very important. The client should take as much as photos that they can.
Yeah, Pictures are free now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the contractor who comes, he has to do a test. They do a humidity reading. So they do, before they install their dehumidifiers, fans, and all that, they have to do the reading. They take a photo of that to document it. And then after they remove the, the gyprock, do the cleaning, and then, after the place is dried, after putting the dehumidifiers, equipments and all that, they have to do another humidity test.
Do you document when you know that someone is going to claim to insurances?
Anyways, we have to document it.
Okay.
Documentation is very, very important. And at the end of the job, we have to give a report, to a client to say, okay, this is what, even not for the flood, even for the renovation part, we always give them some sort of a PDF saying that, okay, this is the job that we did. These are the rough materials that we use. We try to educate people especially the clients to make sure like they understand how to use the environment that we built for them.
Yeah, how to maintain it.
Exactly, how to maintain it. And for the flood, because they have to deal with the insurance, even if they don't deal with insurance, the contractor should give a report, at least a brief report to them.
So those are the type of contractors you want to deal with, right?
Exactly.
The ones who document.
Exactly. Documentation are more important, are important, but doing a job is more important because you can do it yourself if you know how to do it. If you know, like, okay, the place is flooded, you can do it yourself. It's not something that specifically a contractor should come and do it. You can do it yourself, but still, if you want to choose, if you have a choice of different contractors, for sure, it's better for you to choose a contractor who can document things for you.
Yeah.
It's easier for you to deal with the insurance after.
Absolutely, yeah, because they'll know what are the things that you need to document. See, that's one of the things I didn't know. You need to know the humidity before you start the fan, which is probably something most people don't know, actually.
Well, especially when they're in a panic mode, right? Like, let me take a picture, let me document. Like, if they're not speaking to a professional, maybe they're not thinking about taking those steps. They just need something to be done. So if they have a contractor like yourself that's able to guide them through the steps, sometimes, especially in those scenarios, people just need somebody to tell them that they're doing the right thing or what's the right thing to do. Like, should I remove the carpet now? Should I, should I take a picture first? Should I, even if it seems obvious, it's flooded, remove it. But sometimes they just don't want it to be.
It's obvious to the contractor, but to the person who's in shock, maybe not.
Exactly.
But the fact is that you bring this, like the emergency situation and the documentation that needs to be presented to insurance, but you also bring that same attention to detail and setting expectations to all of your renovation jobs. That's like one of the key things here, I think. And the fact that you mention also how to maintain the different materials that they have. Do you feel that like kind of also adds value to the renovation, but also the property as is, because they'll be maintaining it, which means that the property value will
go.
Of course. Always bathroom renovations, kitchen renovations, and basement renovation gives more value to their property. That's something very effective. So it's worth, when you think about it, it's worth doing the renovation, some touch-ups before you sell a property.
Yeah.
Especially, for example, some jobs are even simpler. For example, a simple paint on a wall can make a lot of difference.
Yeah. Especially certain colors, right?
Exactly.
I've been told certain colors, certain cultures associate certain colors with certain things as well. So there are some that you need to avoid, some you can push forward.
Exactly. So it's very, very effective, and it's worth doing it.
It's worth definitely. And like with everything together, when we look at the actual buildings, right? Because you have different areas with different regulations, you have different types of houses and buildings. Do you see more or less or different types of challenges when you're working with, let's say, older buildings, whether it's in crisis, quote unquote, moments, or for regular renovations?
Well, the challenge when you're working with an older building is like you will have more surprises.
Okay.
That's one of the things that you're gonna see it more frequent when you're working in a newly renovated building or a recent built building. That's one of the things. The other thing is when you are working with older houses, you have to do some tests for asbestos. Sometimes that you come across with the material which they contain asbestos. So sometimes you have to ask a specialist. They come from a lab. They take samples. They examine it. They see it under the microscope, and then they give you a result of it. So that's another thing that you have to be careful, because if you do a job before taking a test from the laboratory, it's going to spread everywhere, and it's going to cause a health issue for the client. So.
And that test, do you take that in charge, or is that something that is billable to the client? How does that work?
Well, we always tell the client, hey, look, this is a situation, you have to do this work. We recommend you to do, we always work with, this company, and you can choose your, company if you want to work with different person. You can do it. It depends on the size of the contract, size of the job. That's really depends on that. But when the client do it themselves, they do like more trust. They have more trust in you.
Okay.
So what we retained here from this wonderful conversation, thank you, Kaveh.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you, Ronaldo.
Thank you.
Important to keep in mind is to listen to your customers. Plan, right?
Plan.
So
Document.
Booking your subcontractors, ordering your materials before you promise anything. And always attention to details. Think about everything that comes around the projects and bring those values, those added values, and present them to your customers, to the building owners, to your subcontractors. And always keep long-term wellness of the customer in mind. I see that there was on the maintenance that we talked about, and there was also on forgot what I was going to say.
Communication,
yes,
is very important.
to make sure that all of the needs of the clients are met during the project. This was fun. First try. It was great. Let's do it again.
Definitely fun. Kaveh, right before we end everything, I'm sorry, because we're concluding right now. I had one question, and that way we could
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine, because the question is really just about your company name, right? I just wanted to see why Consqualif? Where did it come from? We could finish on that.
Yes. Well, I was searching a lot to have to choose a name for the company, and it went even longer. So at some point I was supposed to be to choose a name for the company, because I cannot go to the to the client, and when they ask what's the name of your company, I tell them, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Quebec Inc., for example. So I searched a lot, and because for me quality of a job is very, very important. So I wanted to squeeze quality
and
to
construction.
So it became Consqualif. So quality, construction comes together. So
it's a lot harder than we think to come up with a name, right?
It is.
It has to work everywhere.
And
this particularity where we live in Quebec and there's French and English, so trying to mix those two. Marketing is hard.
Mix two words. Make sure those two words could be, pronounced in French and English. And reflect your idea of, quality and construction. Very, very, very good job.
Thank you.
So once again, Kaveh from Consqualif. So
thank you so much for having me.
Where can we find you, Kaveh, if we're looking to get a job done?
www.consqualif.com.
Consqualif is spelled CONSQUALIF.
Exactly.
.com.
Exactly. And social media.
On social media, follow him.
Facebook.
On Facebook.
On Facebook.
Awesome.
On
Thank you so
Facebook.
much for being here. Thank you, Ronaldo.
So much for having me.
Thanks, everybody.
And that's
It was
a wrap.
very nice.